Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learned back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about Venus transiting the 12th house in a natal chart. Now, if your house size is, say, average size 30 degrees, well, on average, Venus will traverse the house for approximately 25 days, but only if Venus is only direct during that time. If the house size is larger and or Venus is in retrograde motion at any point during the transit, then your transit will be longer. Well, anyway, first thing I'll look at is, well, if you have Venus transiting your natal 12th house, well, this could indicate that you may bring these Venusian qualities into the private sector of your life, so to speak, such as being charming, being tactful, being about negotiation, uh, reconciliation. If there's someone in your private life where you have a contentious or acrimonious situation going on, this could be the time to mend fences and reconcile differences. Another thing is when you have a Venus transiting your natal 12th house, well, it's possible you might form, if you're unattached and don't currently have a romantic partner or significant other, this could be a time where you may form a connection with somebody that may be, for example, maybe somebody that works in a hospital, such as a nurse, such as a doctor, perhaps somebody connected with something spiritual, or someone in the metaphysical, or somebody that's like a caregiver in some kind of healing profession, somebody in the pharmaceutical field could be another example. It could indicate at this time too that maybe your love life, being in the 12th house that corresponds with Pisces, Venus transiting this house could be a time where your love life may be a little bit chaotic and convoluted, and there may be some chaos and tumult in this period, perhaps. It could also be a period for maybe in some isolated cases, maybe clandestine relationships, covert relationships, those that you don't want to speak of, perhaps to others. This could be a period, even if you are somebody that is generally very gregarious and extroverted, it could be a period where you feel more comfortable being introverted, being extroverted, introverted and introspective, I should say, as opposed to being outgoing and sociable. You might be more sociable, however, behind closed doors. This could also be a time when you have Venus making a transit to your natal 12th house. This could be a period where maybe your feelings might be a little bit more inhibited than usual, and they might be a little bit more suppressed than they generally are. If you are somebody that's more emotionally exuberant, and as far as your chart indicates, say, it might be a period where you might surprise others, and you might not really be as demonstrative or really be as much as vocal as far as expressing your feelings than you ordinarily are. And Venus, when you look at Venus transiting the 12th house, Venus can be about values. So Venus in this transiting this house can be where you might put a little bit more value, perhaps on things connected with spirituality, perhaps the metaphysical, maybe things where you're helping those less fortunate than others, such as the impoverished, the oppressed, and the homeless, the hungry. It could be a time where you put a lot more into feeling into self-sacrifice during this time. This could be a period too where you might have a little bit more confusion and ambivalence, ambiguity in matters connected with love and relationships at this time than you ordinarily experience. With Venus transiting your 12th house, this could be also a time where you might, in privately, you might be maybe appreciating things connected with beauty a little bit more. It might be a time where maybe you take up some kind of thing connected with artistry, perhaps maybe in private. It could be where maybe you like to render some drawing, some general artwork, could be painting. And Even something with doing computer graphics art, that's technically art. So that could still be something that maybe you become interested in, you might be doing in seclusion and solitude. And it could be more of a stronger expression of feelings in private. And having Venus in the transiting your 12th house, as I stated before, may suppress the feeling element a little bit more than usual, but in a lot of cases it could just indicate that you're expressing them more behind closed doors than usual and not as much in public. Well, anyway, it's important also to look at the sign that Venus is in during this transit to the 12th house, as this could flavor the transit. Let's say, for example, that Venus is in Aquarius for either the majority or the whole time of its transit to your natal 12th house. This could be a time where perhaps you might be putting value in humanitarianism and selflessness, and being in the 12th, it could be applying those qualities perhaps to helping those less fortunate than you, such as the impoverished, the homeless, the oppressed, and the hungry. Now let's take another example. Let's say that Venus is in Pisces for either the majority or the whole time of the transit to your 12th house. Now, this could indicate that you might be expressing feelings of compassion and idealism, perhaps in private, and even it might be more, it could indicate that love at this time, maybe unrealistic love interest, could possibly lead to secret sorrows and maybe even self-undoing. It's also important to look at the aspects that are made from the transiting Venus to your natal 12th house. Well, I should say it's important to look at the aspects that are made from transiting Venus in your 12th house to your natal planets and points during this time, as this could impact the transit. Let's say, for example, that transiting Venus in your 12th house makes a square, inconjunct, or opposition to your natal Mercury. This could be a time where you may have a love of seclusion and solitude, but it may cause, perhaps this love of solitude and seclusion may cause problems perhaps in communication with others, and you may be less likely to be communicative during this period because of this love of solitude and seclusion. Now, let's take another example. Let's say that transiting Venus in your natal 12th house is making a sextile or trine to your natal Venus. Well, this could be very auspicious for peaceful and tranquil relationships. And this could be something where, being in the 12th house, this could be maybe these relationships being peaceful could be perhaps attributed to having peace in your private life, being the fact that Venus is transiting your 12th. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Venus transiting your natal 12th house, and stay tuned next time where I'll be dissertating and talking about Mars transiting the first house in a natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.